From the Weather NorCal Command Center, this is your afternoon update.
American Door Company has been family-owned and operated for over 29 years, supplying Northern California with quality garage doors, garage door openers, and installed with the best service you'd expect from a locally owned company. We serve all of Northern California from Willows all the way up to the Oregon state line. Give us a call today.
Well, of course, the story for today is going to be that mix of sun and clouds that we'll see here throughout the afternoon. And not to mention, a bit on the breezy side with those north winds, especially for the first half of the day. What you'll notice, though, as we start to go through the afternoon, those winds may start to die down. And really where the main wind event, if you even want to call it that, it's going to be just breezy, is going to be in the valley, in parts of the valley here. And then as we go through the afternoon, it starts to die down. Maybe a little breezy again tomorrow, but we'll take a closer look at that on Futurecast here in a bit. Dry and warm through the weekend, even into early next week, but I am seeing some signs for the potential for some cooler and, dare I say it, some wetter weather by the middle or latter part of next week. We'll get into that in a little bit more detail in a second. Let's start with your neighborhood forecast, just at a quick glance for today. Temperatures are going to be upper 70s to about 80. I think again for the valley. You'll notice probably some more clouds this afternoon, but probably some clearing later on in the day. Temperatures are going to be in the 60s, even some 70s for the higher elevations, and of course for the coast, looking at low 60s. A bit cool up in Modoc County, only reaching somewhere in the upper 50s to low 60s for those daytime highs. So again, still a bit breezy at the noon hour, but then as we go into the afternoon, those winds should subside. Still a bit breezy here for the coast. Now, going into your Thursday morning, again, a little breezy in some spots here, especially some of those foothills and some of those canyons, right? But as we go through Thursday afternoon, those winds should start to subside, and then going into the Thursday second half of the day and even into your Friday, the wind should be a bit calmer out there as well. So the clouds that are moving on in are coming in from the west. We still have high pressure in place, and that's what's going to keep our temperatures fairly warm today, but it's still a very weak ridge of high pressure, which means it's still going to allow a lot of the clouds with these systems moving in. We're just not going to get any rain from those clouds. It's going to be mainly in the form of high, a few mid-level clouds, but that will really be the extent of it. Now, I want to show you the long range here, and we're going to take you through the rest of this week and into the weekend. You see a storm system off to our west. The ridge of high pressure kind of flattens out. This is what we call a bit of a zonal flow type pattern, where we don't really have a very big ridge. We don't have a very big trough of low pressure. And you can see the storm system out over the Gulf of Alaska is going to slowly approach Canada and the Pacific Northwest. That may bring places like Washington off into Canada, maybe a chance for some light showers. But you can see it kind of weakens as it starts heading eastward, so it's not going to bring much rain for them. Now again, we still have this weak ridge of high pressure in place. It's going to keep our temperatures fairly warm over the weekend, but still allowing some of those clouds to move in throughout, even into the second half of the weekend. Now, as we go into early next week, you can see here, as we go into your Monday and Tuesday, you see this little trough of low pressure right here. Now, this is something I've been touching on over the last couple of days. It is picking up on a little bit of rainfall. Now, I don't anticipate us to see any rain at this point on Monday. It depends on how strong this system gets and how much moisture we can get out of it. Fairly moisture-starved system, despite the fact that we do have those clouds out there. But there is some rain off to our north and west and off to the west here. Keep your eyes on this storm system right here, because watch what happens as we go into the middle of next week. Here's next Tuesday, next Wednesday. You see how we're starting to see that potential for some rain. Now, this is not anything we're going to set in stone just yet, but the long-range forecast models are in pretty good agreement. That is the GFS, the American forecast model, and not to mention the European forecast model, all showing signs of some possible wet weather by the middle to latter part of next week. And once you know it, just in time for cool April nights, right? So I'm thinking at this point in the game, the first half of cool April nights, the first half of the week, should be dry, pretty much guaranteed. But as we get into the middle and latter part of next week, now we're talking about that potential for some wet weather. Again, not guaranteed. Climate Prediction Center is picking up on that. Remember, the lighter shades of green saying, hey, there's a chance, right? As you get into the darker shades of green, that's when we have better chances to see some of that rainfall out there. And it's also picking up on the near normal to even possibly below normal temperatures getting toward the end of this month as well. All right, so for today, not wet, not cool, just absolutely gorgeous. Some of us could touch that 80-degree mark again today for the valley. Temperatures in the 60s for most of us in the higher elevations, 70s out in Trinity County, and those upper 50s to low 60s out along the coast. So let's take a look at that 7-day outlook, starting off with the valley. Now notice the temperatures. They kind of go up a little bit going into the weekend, and then we'll kind of start to see them dip again Monday into Tuesday. This is when we start to see those temperatures begin to drop, and then as we go into Wednesday of next week, Wednesday of Thursday of next week, maybe a chance for showers. But again, just again, that potential. Looking at the coast, inland, and for Trinity County, also kind of seeing that trend, although for the coast, mainly upper 50s, low 60s, dry through the extended period here, even going into the weekend. And looking at your 7-day outlook for Siskiyou, Modoc, and the Eastern Mountains, also looking at those dry conditions, a slight increase in the temperatures going up into the weekend before we start to see that dip going into early next week.